We got a Miami Dolphins mailbag after the Thursday Night Football loss to the Buffalo Bills. I am Nick Roloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. If you missed our live show we did on Friday, make sure you subscribe because we're live after every single Dolphins game day. We'll start off the mailbag with a question from my guy, Jabo. Do you think we are competing for a top 5 pick? Oh, absolutely. I mean, as we're currently filming this, the Dolphins technically have the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, that is because they are the only 0-3 team in football, because they're the only team outside of Buffalo to play 3 games this season. But based off where this year is heading, absolutely. Listen, this defense is, I would argue, the worst in football. The offense has had moments, but with injuries, the potential Tyreek Hill trade on the horizon, like you just have to imagine that Miami will be picking in the top 10 this year. Now, things can change because over the next 4 weeks, you play the Jets at home, the Panthers on the road, the Chargers at home, and the Browns on the road. And there's a world that we live in where they go 3-1 in that stretch, beating the Jets, Browns, and Panthers, losing the Chargers, then you're 3-4. But I expect Miami to be at best a 5-win team at this point. I think that's a fair expectation. Even if you go 3-1 in the next 4, I don't think you're beating Atlanta on the road. And the only surefire game that I would say the Dolphins can and will win the rest of the year is against New Orleans coming out of the bye week in week 13? Week 13. Thanksgiving week. That's the only win that I have marked on the schedule. You have a tough end of the year. So, yeah, I think the Dolphins are a 3 to 6 win team. And if it's closer to the former and it's 3 wins, a 3-win team is picking top 5. 3-win teams in some year might be picking number 1. Now, this year, there's a lot of bad teams, so maybe that's not the case. But I think the Dolphins will be very likely picking inside the top 6 or 7. Make sure you follow us over on Instagram. Dolphins Today IG is our handle. We are 55 followers away from 1,200. Help us out. Follow us for more short-form content, more posts, memes. We got you covered between our YouTube videos over on Instagram. My guy Megallo with a question. Do you think we should fire everyone? Oh, it's coming. It is coming, Megallo. The truth is, if the Dolphins season progresses the way I expect it to, like I just mentioned, 3 to 6 wins, Chris Grier fired. You'd have to hope to God Stephen Ross pulls the trigger, which I actually do think he will, after the season. In season, who knows, but out of the season in January, absolutely. Chris Grier gone. That means a new head coach, and it means a new regime. But if you're bringing in a new head coach and a new GM, that means you're going to get a complete overhaul at almost every level of the coaching staff. So probably a new special teams coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator. So by default, if you fire Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier in season or out of season, the entire Dolphins coaching staff will be different in the 2026 year. That's just the truth of the matter. We got a $2 super chat from Interspacer. Our software just absolutely gave us a little switcheroo. We're back. What could Mike McDaniel to save his job? Hashtag bench Tua. That isn't what he could do to save his job. The only way Mike McDaniel is coaching this team next year is if the Dolphins go 10-4 in the next 14 games, make the playoffs as a 10-win team. It's the only way. I mean, coming into the year, I said the only way Miami should have McDaniel and Grier as head coach GM duo in 2026 is if they make the playoffs. And I argued win a game because they've been unable to do so together in the last 4 years. And Chris Grier as a GM hasn't got a playoff win since 2016 when he became GM. So the only way that these two are still here next season, if this season miraculously turns around, they're a 10-win team and they're in the playoffs. The NFL trade deadline is November 4th. The Dolphins are 0-3. They have 5 games before that deadline. Will Miami be sellers at the trade deadline? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I believe yes, which means we very well could see Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and heck, even Jalen Phillips traded before November. Muggs, do you think y'all should go after Shedeur Sanders or a strong-arm quarterback in Joe Milton while y'all have Tyreek Hill? If not, who would you go for currently in the draft? Well, the first part of that question is if you made a trade for a quarterback in season. I do not forecast that because if the Miami Dolphins needed a quarterback and they went to go trade for one, I don't think that would even happen. I think they would just stick with who they have in terms of Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson, who are on the active 53-man roster. And I actually will say this as well. I don't want Shedeur Sanders. I mean, what's the quote? Not my monkey, not my circus. I don't want to deal with it. And with the report that Shedeur might have said no to being drafted by the Ravens on day 3 because he has no world to ever start there, just goes back. Shedeur Sanders is in it for himself. He's not in it to win. He's not in it to have the name on the front of his jersey succeed. It's not to the back, dude. I don't want that as my quarterback. It would be a bad idea. Joe Milton sucks, dude. He's just absolutely atrocious. I mean, his numbers in the preseason were embarrassing. But if you want a brief list of names that I would be currently interested in the NFL draft, assuming the Dolphins are picking top 10 and potentially going with a QB ski, John Mateer from Oklahoma, certainly under consideration. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, under consideration. LaNorris Sellers from South Carolina. Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. Drew Allar for Penn State. Those are the 5 names that I'm really keeping an eye on in 2026. The conversation would shift if you go to 2027. Then DJ Lagway, Raiola, Julian Say, and Dante Moore, all starters, but unlikely to be in this year's draft, could be options. But if you're taking a QB, top 5 this year, which if, let's be real here, you're in the top 5 of the draft, you're probably starting to address quarterback. Those 4 you see on the left side of your screen, plus Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, are the 5 that are catching my eye in early/late December, or September. I can get my months right. I can do it. I can also make the right decisions on PrizePicks where, listen, you and I make decisions every single day. With the right decisions, you can get paid. PrizePicks so simple to play. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks puts their users first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. PrizePicks invented the Flex Play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. Double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. I have an entry for the Week 3 action tomorrow. I'm going more than Ramondre Stevenson rushing yards. That Steelers run defense is atrocious. Going less than Ashton Genty, 13.5 receiving yards. In his first 2 games, he's had 1 yard and 2 yards respectively. I'm supposed to believe he gets 14. I don't think so. And then I'm taking advantage of the max discount Sunday night football. Patrick Mahomes, half a passing yard. Take advantage of that max discount. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, Lua with a question here. Is it time to change QB? Been 6 years. He reached the ceiling. Let's see what we got in Ewers. Okay, 2-part question. Lua, I agree with you. It's time to change quarterbacks. Tua is not the QB1 of the future. He is not a franchise quarterback. I talked briefly about it on our Friday morning video right after the Week 3 loss. And I made a whole video Saturday morning saying how he is not the franchise quarterback, and it's clear that we should move off of him sooner rather than later. But the question and issue is, how do the Dolphins move off of him? Because his dead cap hit is $99 million if you cut him after this season. So I have a hard time believing that Stephen Ross is going to sign off on a $99 million dead cap. Just don't think it's going to happen. So unless you find a trade partner, Tua is going to be on this roster in 2026. And here's another thing. You can't bench him. Because if you bench him, one, his value in a trade just hits the absolute rock bottom of all rock bottoms. And if you bench him, you could never go back to him. First of all, Quinn Ewers would not be any better. I get it. You want to see what you have in the 7th round rookie. But it's not like he showed that much promise in the preseason games. There was reports that he was okay and solid against third stringers in the training camp and joint practices, but he didn't really show that much in the preseason. He was bad against the Bears. He was pretty bad against the Jags. He had a good fourth quarter against the Lions in week 2. But the problem is it's hard to change quarterbacks in season with Tua's contract, the personality, and everything that would come alongside it. It's hard to do that. We're going to round out the mailbag coming up here in a second, but make sure you subscribe. Don't miss a thing on the Miami Dolphins. Daily videos every single day. Join the channel right now. I don't know how you'd want that pronounced. Do you think we could bounce back and win 3 in a row or more? No. 2? Yeah. 3? No. I mentioned a little bit earlier to start off the show, I do actually believe the Dolphins will win the next 2 games. At home against the Jets on a mini bye week from this Thursday night game, yeah, I think that's a win against the Jets. And then I probably think you go on the road and beat the Panthers because that Panthers team is very, very bad. But in week 6, you would return home to play the Los Angeles Chargers, and I just have a hard time believing you'd be able to beat them. They have a better defense than you. They have a better quarterback than you. They have a better offense than you. They are better at everything than you. I am trying to think of something that the Dolphins are better in, and it's only running back, I think. They have the better quarterback. They have the better offensive line. They have the better, honestly, I think they have the better weapons. Quinn Johnson looks good this year, man. Johnston, Keenan Allen, McConkey, they've been good. They have a better defense, top to bottom as well. So I don't see a way they beat the Chargers. Yeah, it's in Miami, but I think it would have to take like an injury to a massive player on the Chargers. Or, I mean, listen, they hung tight against the Bills, but I am certainly not going to project the Dolphins to win against the Chargers. But with that being said, if they're able to, you'd think they'd be able to keep the momentum rolling with a game against the Browns, and maybe you win 4 in a row or 4 and 3. But I don't think they beat the Chargers. Who is the best player on the Miami Dolphins currently? It's a fascinating question. Before the year started, I would have answered Zach Sealer. Now I don't know. I gotta be honest, I think my top 2 would either be Devon Achane, which is never a good sign when your best player is a running back, and Patrick Paul, who's been maybe your most consistent, rock-solid player to this point. Those are my 2 guys that I have as my potential candidates. What's up, Ryan? Do you have Joe Brady as a possible head coach candidate? I do. I don't think he would be my top option. Heck, I don't think he would even be in my top 5, but he's certainly on my list. My initial list of head coach candidates for Miami are these guys. I think Cliff Kingsbury, Vance Joseph, Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, Ron Rivera, former head coaches in the NFL, make potential sense. Marcus Freeman, probably the best option at head coach currently at the collegiate level. But then if you wanted to go with the first-year head coach guys at the NFL level, Chris Shula, grandson of Don Shula, defensive coordinator for the Rams. Jesse Minter is an excellent defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Zach Orr, I love his ability to lead in Baltimore. Young, but he inspires and he leads that Baltimore defense. And then I've got Joe Brady as that Bills OC. But I do get concerned that Bills offense is more or less elite because of Josh Allen being, without a question, the best regular season quarterback in the NFL. So I would certainly be concerned with Joe Brady, but he's definitely on the list. And I would definitely interview him. I would definitely interview Joe Brady, but I don't think I'd have him in my top 5. My top 5, if you were to look at my list, I probably would put Marcus Freeman on that list. I would put Zach Orr from the Ravens on the list, Robert Saleh on the list. Those are my top 3. And then my top 2 to fill out the top 5 are probably, honestly, Jesse Minter from the Chargers, because I really like what he's done in the Los Angeles organization, and he's been under John Harbaugh for 3 straight years now when you go back to Michigan. And I would probably put Mike McCarthy to round out that list of 5 as well. It would probably be my top 5. All right, that'll do it for today's episode. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Make sure you do follow us over on Instagram at Dolphins Today IG for more short-form content. Instagram post. We got it all over there. That's the handle. Hopefully I see you over there.